Hello, I'm just going to do a quick making some ephemera video. So we're just in the middle of doing our tab book, the spooky Halloweeny Tim Holtz tab book. I've lost a bit of paper that I had behind there, so I have to nick one of these little strips. But this is the book that we sort of put together the basic construction of. I haven't added any of the pockets or anything in just yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to do any sewing or anything. I don't know if I'm going to do this just purely paper or mix a bit of fabric in. But in the meantime, I wanted to get on with some ephemera and some tags and stuff. So I've got here the journal cards that you can buy in a pack, the Tim Holtz ones. So I'm going to use a few of those. I've got the scrap paper to cut some of these out. So this is just literally his paper pad paper, scrapbooking papers, that I've got a whole stack of that I'm just going to cut down into sort of mini cards and little tags and such. So I've got that. I'm cheating ever so slightly in that I've got some book pages with me. I've got some ledger, I've got some sheet music, and I've got some plain book pages just to sort of help give a bit of contrast if we need it. And then I've got my sort of focal pieces. I've also got lots of little extra bits of ephemera, and I've dug out my big album. You may have seen, or may not have seen this before, with all of my Tim Holtz ephemera sort of stuck in. And yes, I think we're going to use some of this as well, some of these big cards. So I'll make a few pieces with you, and we'll see how we get on. So I might as well start with this little dinky one. I'll tell you one thing I'm going to do is just grab my inks. Just 1 second. That's one thing I did forget to get out. There we are. I haven't done any inking for so long. I don't even know if these are dried up by now, but I've got my inks as well, so we can work with those. Everybody used to use vintage photo. That was kind of the call of the day. I used to sort of mix it up a little bit with tea dye, and then eventually I just went to ground espresso. That was always my favourite. I liked how deep and dark it was, so I know we've still got some ink on there, so I'm just going to ink the edges. I have to say, I see so many videos where it's just like 20 minutes of people inking. I don't know, you probably find this bit really boring, so I'm going to speed this up and probably do some of the inking off camera. You don't need to watch me do that for the next 10 pieces, but we'll do the first one. So that's going to be my background. I want a little focal point. I'm going to use some of these people, the Halloween people, and see if any are small enough to go on. They're quite dinky. You're dinky. They're a bit bigger, they're a bit bigger. Oh, I quite like that. Even though they sort of hang off the edge, I'm not really bothered. I don't mind. I quite like that one. And you're a smaller one. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with... I mean, I'm sure they're lovely children, but the Creepy Twins, stick with them for this one. I do want a bit of background. I want a bit of colour, I think. So let's see if I've got any ephemera with a bit of colour to it. Let's just tip some of this out. Something with a bit of contrast. See, that isn't, but I'm gonna use that one as well, actually. So there's a bit of red. Do we want a bit of red behind? This is pretty much what I end up doing with the Tim Holtz stuff, is just playing with placement. I don't know if I want that sort of along the edge, maybe, or behind. Yeah, it's just literally placement of bits and pieces. I just flung a bit then. What was that? Tiny bat. Tiny, I don't know if you can see that or not. I can't see the camera, but that was tiny bat. Well, there's a few tiny bats. Oh, lovely. Oh, Edgar. Beware. Maybe a bit of the book page. Oh, no, it's not colour. No, I want a colour. Let's have a look in the good old album. I definitely want something to make them stand out a little bit. So let's look for something with a bit of colour. Let's pull... Can you see any of that? Pull a few pieces out. I like the colour. I like the mustardy colour and the green there. I know this is taller, but let's grab that. Excuse me. My I don't know if it's the time of year or not, but my asthma, I mean, it's horrendous. and I feel like I'm constantly wheezing. Not very nice. Right, these little square ones, these are just like snippets of collages that have been done, but there's some sort of block colours. I don't know what it is. I don't like square, I like rectangles. So these don't get used very often. So let's pull a couple out just in case. We can always tear them up. And then I've got all of these. So well, that's hanging out anyway. So let's have that. Let's have the numbers. Let's have some smalls. Let's have some of these tiny smalls. I'll just chuck them all to one side. And then I've got, this is just an old photograph album, like what your mum would have had in like the 80s and 90s. So sort of adhesive back. But just quite handy to keep these in, so you can stick them down so you don't lose them, but obviously you can lift them off again. So it's quite handy. Right, let's work with what we've got then. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. I don't know how much you can see. Move you forward. I should probably have done this first, shouldn't I? There we are. So I do like this mustard. That's too wide. I think this one's going to be too tall. Oh no, oh no. I quite like that. Quite like that. And then too big. I might cut that down actually. Where are my scissors? I'm just trying to round the edges off. I did a terrible job of that one. This is the thing now, it's like you start and then you can't stop. That'll do. Do we think? Might just back that on something, some small print. Just done a bit of small print, I think, just to lift it. As if my glue will work. So this is just the art glitter glue that I am oh so desperately attempting to use. If it will work. It was working earlier. Okay, a few bits out of that. So let's just do it that way. Don't really bother if anything's readable on it. I just want a bit of something behind. Like that. Just to tatty it up a little bit. A bit more ink. And let's stick these down. So I'm leaving this a little bit late in the month, I fear, but I've made this, or I'm making this, and probably another one or two, and I'm going to list them in my Ko-fi shop if anybody does want one. So there will be 2, potentially 3 in my Ko-fi shop. I'm not going to ink this. I don't want to ink the girl, although there is a poppy outy bit there, so let's get rid of that. There we are. Yeah, if you do get a spare minute and you'd like to follow me, or I don't know if it's follow or like or whatever on Ko-fi, that would be wonderful. I'm trying to veer away from Etsy if I can. I don't know if anybody else has an Etsy shop, and I found the traffic is just, it's just a nightmare. The fees have gone up. You've got less hits, or fewer hits, should I say. And yeah, it's a bit of a mare at the minute, is Etsy. So I'm trying to concentrate more on the Ko-fi shop than the Etsy one without losing any business. And it's not really working. So if anybody would like to go and give me a follow and a like and a share and what have you, that would be most appreciated. Any bit of interaction is, yeah, as I say, very much appreciated. Shall we have a tiny bat? Oh, I'm going to have a little bat on there as well, because I like him. I don't know what I'm going to do for the, there, for the tags. I don't know if I want, I don't want anything too bulky. Obviously with the tab book, I'm just going to be over here. With the tab book, tab bound book, we don't want anything too bulky, too dense. It's going to open the book out and cause us a bit of a headache in that respect. I want it to lay flat. That's kind of the point of it. So I'm just grabbing some bits of sari silk, and I'm not going to do huge, I hope you can hear all this, I'm not going to do huge ribbons on my tags. I'm just going to do little bits of fabric. I want to keep the fabric to a minimum, dropping everything just to reduce the bulk. So it's going to be, I don't know what dropped then, something fell. So maybe just a snippet of this, or something like, now it's a bit bright that. Let's have a bit of this green, shall we? So it's just going to be something like that for my tags, I think, and I'll just pop a staple. I don't like staples really in journals. I say this often, but then I find myself using them. I don't, but it's just easier sometimes, isn't it? And it's the teeny tiny Tim Holtz stapler, so I don't feel like I'm cheating. There. So that's one little tag. There's a place where you can write on the back. Yeah, cute. So let's make a couple more of those and try and make it less stressful. So I've got this already. Let's have something from this little ephemera pack on here. What have we got? So even just the flowers are quite nice, but that's a bit too messy, isn't it? I want something bold, I think, on there. What shall I have? Or shall I have one of these? They're a bit big, aren't they? Something small and slim. What about maybe just a one of them? Do you not get a spider? I thought I saw a spider before. Oh, there's a raven. Oh, gotta love a raven. Gotta love a raven. Let's have him. Yes, definitely. And then could we benefit from a bit of something underneath, perhaps? Not sure. Maybe a bit of this. Let's have a bit of this and do a bit of layering. Sorry, I'm not being chatty now. I'm just, it's such a long time since I've done this. But I think if I just do a little cluster just to lift it, then that would be quite cool. And I am going to just colour around the edges to get rid of that stark white where I've torn. Oh, go away. Something like that, perhaps. But a third, something across. What can we have across? Where are the little, these? No, don't like that. That's better. Prefer that. I don't know what it is. I don't know. You just sort of look and go, yep, that one. It just kind of, it's like an automatic thing. Just give this a bit of definition as well. God, that's seen better days, hasn't it? Looks like I've been eating it. Is that the one I was using? And I have to do things in 3s. Again, not really sure why, but I just do. So I'm going to stick that one down. Stop it. That's good old Stuart you can hear in the background again. Crying for no reason. I promise you he's not an abused cat. He's just a little crazy. Oops, is that leaking from somewhere? I might have burst my bottle. Do that upside down actually, so you can see the numbers a bit better. Just see where I'm going to put that. Do I want it that way? Yeah, like that. More glue. I think this one's had it. Pop that down and add my bird. Something is leaking from somewhere on this bottle. And I haven't missed that either, the feeling of glue on your blooming fingers. Can't bear it. I can't just sit there with glue everywhere. It really bothers me. There we are. That's that one. And let's have a little bit of something. There is a little hole in this, so let's use that. Try and remind myself which way around the ribbon will go. Obviously it's plain on the back, so we can do some you can do some journaling on that. Keep it short. So that's another one. Let's do one of the cards this time. Let's do a bigger card. So we've got, that would be quite a good one actually, because some of them are a bit florally, a bit too non-Halloween-y. Most of those actually, by the looks of things. That one's all right. Yeah, let's have this. And then I want to use either one of the Polaroids, because I do like these. Either a spooky Polaroid or one of these like photo booth photographs. So let's just grab a handful of these, see if there's any that we think might be a bit spooky. Maybe. You just see old house and think haunted. Like that one's a good one. I don't just want a house though. I want a people. But they need to be the small ones. Oh, I don't think I'm going to get what I'm looking for out of these. I've looked at these, haven't I? Could I make that spooky? Could we try and spooky it up? Because that's what I really want. We'll do the one with the car. We'll pretend it's the spook. What's the spooky car that Stephen King? Was it Christine? Love Stephen King. That was his thing, wasn't it? Now, what side? That's probably better for journaling, so let's stick with this side. So I'm just going to add a bit of colour to it. And I have got some fabric somewhere, little strips for sticking on. Got some stamped ephemera as well, which is Tim Holtz stamps, might I add, so I'm not cheating. Oh, some of these are samples, actually. And I don't know what, do you know what? I've moved my room around and I don't know where anything is anymore. I want some of the old tape. Country Morning Creations are on Instagram. I'm sure they'll have a YouTube as well and an Etsy shop. They sell a digital download of what looks like old tape, and you can buy that and then get yourself some sticker paper, print it onto the sticker paper, and you've got the most spectacular old looking sellotape, and it's wonderful. And I would love some right now to stick this on with. So let me see if I can find it. Hang on, and I'll come back again. Found it. So I've got some old bits that I've printed that I'll show you how just wonderful they look. They look incredibly yellow right now, but they're brilliant. These are also the other bits I was talking about. So when I'm doing any embroidery, if I've got leftover thread, rather than just binning it, I'll just stitch onto a bit of paper and then rip it up. And actually it makes some quite nice little ephemera bits. Just dropped a load of stuff, sorry. Yeah, it just looks quite nice to finish a piece off. Bit mixed media. So let's use some of this on a couple of bits. I'm going to do it quite thin if I can. Peel the backing off. And you'll see just how effective this looks. I mean, doesn't that look cool? And just adds a wonderful bit of age to an image. I mean, that's spectacular. I love that. And then maybe even just one of the dates. I mean, that might even be all that you need. I wonder if I've got a better stamped date than that. Sorry if you're struggling to hear me, by the way. As I said, my asthma's not great, so I'm getting out of breath quite easily. I don't know if I had a bit of the Rona or what really. Yeah, just not 100%, I don't think, but mind you, that was about 3 weeks ago, so you'd have thought it would have gone by now, but it's just left me just struggling with my asthma a little bit. I don't find any more stamp dates. That one's just not really very dark, is it? I don't even know, excuse me, where the stamps might be. So that's the other one. Maybe we'll have that. October 18th. I mean, I can read it. I'm just going to tatty up the edges a little bit more to make it not so uniform. Just lifting is that. Might just get a different couple of pieces. I went and cut some of the pieces that were on the where it had been bent, and it's not quite sticking. These are quite old actually now. Just drop more stuff on the floor. Right, 1, 2, and we'll fold that over, because even that just gives quite a nice little look. I mean, we could cut some really thin bits to stick that down with. Let's just put some glue just to secure it. In fact, let's ink first, just to give that a bit of age. Yeah, that's better. Add some glue on. I'm gonna have to find where the glue are now. This one's doing my head in. Just stab myself with the pin. Honestly. But you know when you you know full well, oh, there's where it's burst, I think. You know full well there's glue in it, and you're just determined to use it all up because, do you know what, it ain't cheap. That's where I'm at. There we are. And let's see if we can get a couple of these teeny tiny bits of tape on there. I've got one more. Shall I do one more at the bottom? There we are. And to be honest, other than I might just add... The other thing I've got is this. In fact, I did some tab binding with this stuff a long time ago, so I could use that as like as a little card thing, pull thing, but I don't know. I'm going to leave that like that. It depends on if it's going to go in lengthways somewhere, then I'll put it on the edge. If it's going to go in sort of sideways, then I'll put it that side. So I'm just going to leave that with that. Should we do one more? And then we'll leave it at that. I'm going to get a big one, I think. So I'm going to find a big scrap. Let's use you. And in fact, should we use you as well? Let's come straight with it. Now what I might do actually, I might do a little tag in a tag. Look at me getting carried away. Just going to tear that a little bit. Do it that way. Do a little tag. Now I can't get to my sewing machine at the minute, so I might just hand stitch that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down. Was that meant? Hang on, let me think. No, I'm going to leave the top. Put a little bit of glue down like that just to hold it in place. And then I'm just going to hand stitch around that. Just because I think it'll look cool. So let's get some thread. If I can find some, you think. There you go. Huge reel of black cotton here. Are you coming out? Are you not the right end? No, the right end's up here. So let me just pull some of this off. Very well. See if I can thread it now. I'm going to have to do this without my glasses on, so this will be interesting. Just going to put a little knot at the end just to secure it. And because it's quite a thin cotton, it's not going to add any bulk, or much bulk anyway. Right. That didn't work. The knot's too small, so let's just leave a tail and we will tie it off afterwards. So I'm just going to do a running stitch. Well, I'm doing it as a back stitch actually, but just going to do that the whole way around. I've just pulled my needle out and I've just pulled the thread out. Let me try that again and I will come back when I've done. Absolutely mortified. My camera didn't switch back on. I just sort of made an entire cluster thing to go in this thing and you didn't see any of it. So I finished hand sewing and then I added the tag but made sure I left this bit off so I've got a nice pocket. And then I did a little cluster but you didn't see it, which is most annoying. So that's now going to fit nicely in there, and this is going to attach to the top with my fabric glue of my tag. And that was it. That was the last one. So I'm really sorry that that didn't work. But I can't make it again because I've made it now. So we've got 4 pieces that we made. So we did the 2 tags. We've done the little card. Next I'm going to stick everything down into the journal and then decorate, and then we can see what other bits of ephemera we need to put together. So I'll leave it there. What a disaster. But thank you for joining me. Bye.